September 2020. Elden Ring was announced a little over a year ago, and its father, Hidetaka Miyazaki, is well aware of that fact. He means to torture us all, push us to the brink of starvation, before feeding us a scrap of gameplay or another cinematic trailer. Like the Cullens, we must satisfy our cravings by feeding off lesser games made by lesser men. The problem is that most of them don't even come close to satiating our ravenous hunger, not even for a second. Whenever I lay with a lesser game, I can't get the thought of Elden Ring out of my mind. No matter how hard I may try and struggle, it's always there, at the back of my head. Elden Ring. Oh, the Elden Ring.
Elden Ring. Shattered by someone or something.
First, we had the PS5 reveal event back in July. No Elden Ring. Then, Gamescom in August. No Elden Ring. Then, the most recent show, the PS5 showcase, but still no Elden Ring. Mark my words, Miyazaki, Tokyo Game Show is coming up soon.
And by God, you will show us Elden Ring.
While the thought of playing through any of the Soulsborne Shadows games is a tempting one, it is like smoking a third cigarette in a row to me by now. Sounds good, but isn't. No matter how much you would like to inhale that cancerous mist, your body won't let you. It will rebel against your mind, forcing you to expel whatever you have devoured recently in a volatile fashion. These are the reasons that have pushed me to go to a place I had hoped to never visit in my life. The Epic Games Store. A place so abominable it should be illegal. Alas, I had no choice but to sip the divine tar to see for myself what is the dealio with Mortal Shell. Developed by Cold Symmetry, a studio founded by AAA veterans in 2017 with a passion for making great video games. They looked at Dark Souls and must have thought to themselves, how do we make it our own? How do we make a decent Souls-like that is different enough from source material? And it seems they found the answer, because the game is great. Mortal Shell is an action RPG, and from my understanding, you play as a spirit capable of possessing dead bodies, which serve as classes. I'm not Vati-Vidya though, so I could be completely wrong and talking out of my ass. Those classes, or shells, are Harros, who I spend the most time playing as. He is a well-balanced character with moderate everything. Teal, who serves as a thief class with high mobility. Solomon, with high durability but lower stamina. And Eridrim, the tankiest shell with low mobility and stamina. You should take every shell out on a couple of dates to see if they suit your playstyle. If you enjoy being a two-legged tank, then Teal is not the shell for you. If you're a basic bitch and can't decide between mobility, power, or durability, then welcome to the club. Enjoy dating Harros. What he lacks in everything, he more than makes up for with his mediocrity and determination. Gameplay. Sunny D, or Estes, for the uncultured swine among us, has been replaced by world caps, which respawn every 5 minutes. Some give you a single shroom, while others are more plentiful and spawn too. What's great about them is that they are technically infinite, so if you're careful or have been diagnosed with ADHD and you enjoy running back and forth from one spawn point to another constantly, then chances are you won't run out of healing. What's shitty about them is that if you're suffering from a micropenile syndrome and are not very good at the game, you will oftentimes find yourself scrolling through furry porn on Reddit as you wait for another world cap to grow. Overall though, I gotta say I did appreciate this new take on healing, though it could use some improvements such as boosting the amount healed. As of right now, consuming a world cap is the equivalent of putting a plaster on an open fracture and keeping your fingers crossed this will do the trick. Spoiler alert, it will not. Everybody knows that you need at least 3. Every consumable item in the game has a familiarity level. Use it enough times and its effects become stronger. Consume enough world caps and they heal you slightly faster. play the lute enough times and you become one with your fingers. Tales of your finger skills will spread. Ladies and gentlemen alike will seek you out, begging to be satisfied by your... Okay, I am getting ahead of myself. It's not mortal erotica. Most items are useful in one way or another. Consume the mortal token, and the next time you harden, I will get to that later, the damage you block will be converted to health. Consume the extracted tar, and you'll gain 1300 tar, which is used both as currency and experience. Now then, let's discuss hardening. It is a really cool mechanic, which when used, will block almost every type of damage, and unfortunately for lesser foes, it will also stagger or even knock them down. It can be used when you stand still, when you're running, or in the middle of an attack animation, which brings me to my next point. Animations are extremely well done, and you just don't see such realism in games like these. Every single attack feels satisfying, which lends itself to a more enjoyable experience. Check out these animations. They're so lifelike and realistic. It wouldn't be a Souls-like without parrying, which is somewhat easier than it was in Dark Souls. Upon performing a successful parry, you can regain health, freeze time, or implant an exploding larvae to your enemy. Do yourself a favor and just use it as your main source of healing. You will rarely be short on wellcaps this way. Unless of course your dick is so huge, you dodge everything, never take damage, and always kill every boss first try, as many Souls boys often claim. I will admit that Mortal Shell is generally easier than Dark Souls. Bosses, while scrumptious, are somewhat easy and more often than not can be defeated by abusing running attacks, hardening and backing away, rinse and repeat. Enemies are also prone to bugging out, especially in the first half of the game, like Donkey Kong here, going through an existential crisis. Mind you, I went through most of the game using the Martyr's Blade, which is the heaviest weapon available and can easily stagger most enemies in the game, which usually meant that I could charge them with a running attack and finish them off, or in the case of this big fucker, knock him down, attack a few times, and back off. Every weapon is upgradable up to 5 times, and then further enchanted with various items found throughout the world. In the case of my thick sword, it was an AoE freezing attack and frost enchantment that wears off after a number of attacks. This certainly brings more variety to the game, enhancing the replay value, which is sorely needed, as there is only a handful of areas you can explore and just 7 bosses. This little asshole does not qualify, as he is just a little bitch with a large health pool. You have your main area called the Fulgrim Outskirts, filled with brittle-boned outcasts, rabid frogs, and fucking bear traps, which are seriously annoying when you first start playing. This area then connects to 3 temples. Those temples are Freezy Frosty Land, where you fight Tarsus, the first martyr, Flamey Fiery Land, where you fight Imrod the Unrepentant, and my least favorite, the temple where rock-type Pokemon are mass-produced to satisfy Brock's abusive tendencies. Crucix the Twiceborn is the area boss here. Once all bosses are defeated, you free the Unchained, the last boss. He is like a Great One from Bloodborne, if the Great Ones were misshapen and defeathered chickens. It was actually the most enjoyable boss fight, in my opinion. Music and lack thereof. There is actually so little music in this game that I literally can't recall a single track, and I have just finished the game. Ambience, however, is brilliant, and it really lends itself well to the grim nature of Mortal Shell. There is no comforting music, no peaceful, exploratory sounds. It's just you, frogs, and old men's dying noises. Voice acting is exceptional though, and you really can't get enough of it. Every character was voiced perfectly, especially Sesta Janisa and the Unchained. You definitely do not want to skip any of their dialogue.
Sacred land. I knew you would. Careful now. It's a fragile vessel for the divine. The devout squander these gifts, letting them rot. They dwell in the revered temples, but waste what remains of their precious offerings.
I shall name you Foundling. And you may call me Sister Janessa. You're uninitiated in the Rafiat's mysteries, I see. What a curiosity you are, wearing a man like a shell. You've awakened him, but you know nothing of him yet.
I would do this game and its developer a great disservice if I didn't mention the fact that you can also pet a cat. Yes, you heard it correctly, folks. There is a merchant with a cat which you can pet just before the final boss fight to put your mind at ease and grant your shell a non-existent and completely made-up buff to resolve. Every time you kill a main boss, and there is 3 of them, plus the Unchained, the world gets enshrouded in mist and tougher enemies take place of the brittle-boned outcasts. I say tougher, they're not really though, just annoying and kind of prevent you from sprinting because of this bullshit. The mist disappears after delivering a gland to the Unchained, but if you suffer from encephalitis and you enjoy fighting these bitches, then Cold Symmetry has got you covered. There lives a sex offender in the same ruins as the Unchained, and he will gladly bring the fog back if you wish. Mortal Shell is a game. A video game. It is good, and despite being an Epic Games exclusive on PC, it is definitely worth the $30 price point. I've seen and played worse games for a lot more. Do yourselves a favor and go play it. I award Mortal Shell 4 badges of excitement out of all the sex fanfiction I have written about the Elden Ring and Miyazaki. Take it easy, stay safe out there, and control the spread.
And you just gently squish them. That's not comfortable for the cat, or that safe to be honest with you. You can just throw a towel on the cat again, squish her with a towel. What you can do is scoop her up, a little football carry, just like that. Butt in your hand, and just squish her tight to your body. Just squish them really tight to your body. You don't have to worry about hurting a cat, you know, just squishing them against your bodies. And there we go, we just made friends with this wonderful little cat. Look at that face. Look at that face. Squishing is your best friend when you're dealing with a cat. You basically just lean forward, squish them nice and tight. And again, I'm just squishing them into myself. We always squish that cat.